Hey guys, so welcome to the first official video for my channel, Free Thinking Progressive News. I wanted to make my first video about why I think Bernie Sanders should make a third-party run. I know the DNC is going to tell him that he's not going to be the nominee, which is stupid. We all know that he's the one with the best chance against Trump. We all know that he's the one that would have won the primaries had they conducted themselves in a fair manner. But I'm going to talk about all those things. The first thing I wanted to talk about was why I don't think we should have just a two-party system. It's not a very revolutionary opinion, but it's the truth. The two-party system has just made it so much easier for our politicians to be bought. It's pretty clear that our government's bought. There's several studies out from Harvard, Stanford, that show that even if 90% of the American people want a law or a policy passed, it still doesn't happen if the big money interests don't want it to happen. That's not democracy. That's not right. So, one of the clearest things why the two-party system doesn't work, one of the clearest examples is the choices that we're going to have for president this year. Clinton or Trump. It's not even a choice. It's like choosing the manner in which you want to die, essentially. And I don't want to choose the way I want to die. I want to choose how I'm living my life and how my country works. And that's why I want to vote for Bernie Sanders, not Hillary Clinton. I don't want to insult her, or Donald Trump. The parties control the debates. We're about to go through the general election, and, I would rather vote for Gary Johnson than I would either Clinton or Trump. And I would certainly vote Jill Stein before any of them. She would be my top choice if Bernie wasn't in the race. But they control the debates, and they keep moving the goalposts for the qualifications for how a candidate gets into the debates. Originally it was they had to get to 5% in the polling, and it was 10%, now it's 15%. They don't put them in all the polling, so they can't even get to the goal. I know Gary Johnson polled at 10% in a poll, and I think that really scared him because I think his involvement in polls has dropped off considerably since there was the chance that he was going to actually break the threshold that they had set, which they thought was, unreachable. So I would much rather vote for even Gary Johnson, who is, conservative, but liberal on social issues. At least I know where he stands. He likes liberty and freedom, and if it doesn't hurt other people, he just wants people to be able to make their own choices, and I think that's good. I don't think the whole, forcing anything on anybody is a good thing, unless their actions are harmful to other people. Which is why, I'm all for freedom of religion, but I think that if, you're doing things or saying things that are promoting hate, I don't think that you should be able to be, for instance, like tax exempt as a, church or whatever. I think you should lose all the benefits like that. At least I don't think we should limit their speech. Yes, like people say, the freedom of speech is there to protect speech that people don't agree with. Because if it was just to protect speech you'd agree with, there'd be no reason to have it. So, I think another reason why Bernie Sanders should run third party is because of all the election fraud. I think that Hillary Clinton went through and mapped out every state that she knew she would have to do some fishy stuff in, and she made sure that those states came out good for her. I think New York is a great example of that, with the voter purging and all the irregularities. It seems that every state that polls said were going to be, in favor of Bernie slightly or competitive, it seems like most of them ended up going to Hillary by a wider margin than even the exit polls. That's another thing, the exit polls, they said the results varied wildly, and the international standard is a 2% variation between the exit polls and the actual results. Merits, investigations for election fraud, and that just didn't happen. In our country, the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, might as well be non-existent. They might as well just not even be there. They don't monitor our elections efficiently. If they did, then they didn't say anything about it, or at least confirm that there wasn't tampering. So I don't know. It's just a mess, And if we had other parties, clean parties that only accepted donations from, the people, not from big corporations, not, ones that have the interests of the people in mind, they have no interest in fixing elections then, because they only care about what the people want. That seems like a solution to me. So also the media has been working against Bernie Sanders. Again, there are studies out that confirm that. You can see it if you just watch. You can see the way that they talk about him. If they talk about him, they don't cover him, or they, especially now, the only thing they say about him is, when is he going to endorse Hillary Clinton? When is he going to endorse Hillary Clinton? Are you going to endorse Hillary Clinton? It's just the same. And I agree that he should keep doing the media appearances, because he's like, well, when he says his message, which is great, because there are still people that don't know what his message is, because of the way the media has just blacked him out across the board. And it's really shameful, because they're supposed to be journalists. They're not doing their jobs at all. And I don't know. I think that there should be some level of accountability. Like, I don't want to hinder the press's freedom. That's in the Constitution. They have freedom of the press, just like everybody has freedom of speech. So I don't want to hinder what they say. But if, for instance, Geraldo Rivera on Fox, if you go out there and scream every day that Bernie Sanders is going to tax you at 98%, that's just a blatant lie. And he has to know it. Either he knows that it's a lie, or he's just so ignorant that he's completely incapable of being a journalist that's supposed to, give news and facts to people, and then give your opinion and, explain your biases too. I think it's pretty clear what my bias is. I have a bias towards facts, towards, the greater good, essentially. I can't really boil it down in but that's for another video. Bernie Sanders, third party run, he has a legitimate chance at actually winning. I don't know if Hillary plans to rig the general election. She probably does, but I think it's a little bit harder to rig the general than it is to rig the primary. I think that every poll I've seen, I realize I kind of live inside an online bubble, but most of the polls I've seen have been overwhelmingly for Bernie. I don't think that the major news outlets release polls anymore with Bernie in them, because they know that it would show that he's actually still gaining popularity. They won't even put Gary Johnson in there because they're afraid of him. They're afraid of Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. And I think if if Bernie Sanders teamed up with Jill Stein, I think they have a legitimate chance at winning, because, independents are the biggest voting bloc in this country, even with the people that moved from independent to Dem to vote for Bernie. And, I've seen polls where, 30% of Democrats would still vote for Sanders. And in the states with open primaries, even in the South, he got, good percentages of independents, and in states he won, he would carry, 70% of independents. So, I think, because independents are the biggest voting bloc, I think that really gives him a good chance to win the general election, because obviously independents are allowed to vote in every state in the general election. There might be problems with him getting on the ballot, but I think, from what I've heard, he's already covered his bases for a potential third-party run. I don't know how, you know, credible those sources are, but I've heard good things on that front, and obviously the Green Party is open to having him on the ticket. Their convention isn't until like 2 or 3 weeks after the Dem convention, so we'll see. And my final point I wanted to make is that Bernie Sanders is not another Ralph Nader. Yes, of course, he has the potential to change the election, but he's not a 2% candidate. He's going to make a huge difference, and he's going to take voters away from Clinton and Trump. And if they let him into the debates, you'll see that. You'll see that clearly. If all three of them could be on the stage, Clinton and Trump will lose voters. Like, I can't even make a metaphor. It would be the most rapid loss of all time for support of a candidate. Probably not, but it would be very, very quick, and I think it would be a stark difference to what a lot of the media says would happen if they ever talk about that. But in summary, Bernie Sanders should make a third-party run. He has a good chance of winning. I think he would win probably 45, 25, 25, about that. Maybe even less. We'll see. I think the debates would really swing Americans' opinion because everybody would tune in to watch them. A lot of people, for some reason, don't pay attention to the primaries. If they do, a lot of people only start looking into it about a week before their state votes. It blows my mind. But, we have to remain vigilant. We have to get educated on the subjects. We have to find the truth. We have to see what's worked in other places and what hasn't worked, and why elements of their system didn't work or could work better here. And we have to be innovators too. We have to try new things. We have to, take new concepts and put modern spins on them. And I think that's what Bernie Sanders is proposing. And it would be good for our country. And we need to do everything, even if he's not president, even if he doesn't make a third-party run. We can do it from the ground up. Support your local candidates. Get the word out. Free thinking progressive news.